Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me over the phone tonight during the course of the episode is Dr. Ayman Salama, the Professor of International Law. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayman, for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate over the phone.
Great pleasure, my dearest friend. Great pleasure to be with you and the audience.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine. Dr. Ayman, of course, as we have heard in the past report, historically, the efforts of Egypt to be carrying the weight and the responsibility of the Palestinian cause, defending the Palestinian cause and the right of the Palestinian people to be living in a just, in a peaceful manner. The two-state solution, of course, that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has previously called for several times. Historically, how do you see the efforts of Egypt for the Palestinian cause? And of course, this will be bringing us to nowadays over the past 20 days.
Yes, sir. The time is so limited to mention and to categorize and classify all the endless efforts that had been made exerted for the justice cause of the Palestinian people. Yes. And nowadays the state of Palestine, exactly since the 1948, May the 15th, when Egypt for the first time participated grossly with its armed forces in the fight against the Jews or Israel at the time. However, in recent years, to be concise and to be relevant to the current occurrences and the armed conflicts, protracted hostilities between the occupying Israeli army and the legitimate Palestinian resistance. It's back to 2008, exactly during the campaign called by the Israelis, the pouring bleed in Gaza, December 2008 and January 2009. Many endless and various efforts, politically, diplomatically, humanitarianly, and also many, even the Egyptian experts in Gaza Strips, diplomats in Ramallah, mediation, good offices, brokering several humanitarian truce and also humanitarian ceasefire between the fighting parties in Gaza. The time, again, I would like to reiterate, time isn't enough. But very recently, the head of state, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, repeatedly, constantly, fairly and squarely said it to the public opinion, and also to other his counterparts, heads of state, that Egypt won't be the place of liquidating or termination of the Palestinian cause or the Palestinian endless efforts to maintain and retain their self-autonomy under international law. He said also, we do not actually accept the trick by the Israelis and other complices to make such deportation, coercive deportation of the Palestinians from Gaza Strip to the Egyptian sacred land or territory of Sinai. So we cannot actually, not a single expert can actually analyze or address the endless and protracted efforts by Egyptian people and also Egyptian command, Egyptian presidency, in particular the presidential efforts that had been exerted by His Excellency President Fattah al-Sisi.
Yes, Dr. Ayman, of course, two important notions that were tackled over the past fortnight is the ceasefire, the possibility of having a quick ceasefire between the Israeli aggression, of course, and what we have seen specifically over the past couple of days, and the Hamas rare attacks. How do you see the possibility of having a a possible, realistic, just ceasefire between the Israelis and Hamas?
To be frank, and beyond any doubt, this time the circumstances are so difficult even for the Egyptian good officers actually to broker such humanitarian, even at least humanitarian, not sustainable, not lasting,
Yes.
durable ceasefire agreement, because the Israelis are stubborn and they are actually so arrogant. They avenge the thunder or the lightning strike by Hamas on the 6th of October this month.
Yes.
However, Egypt, particularly President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, actually didn't actually save any effort time to maintain such a ceasefire humanitarian agreement. But in this vein, in this regard, I would like to emphasize that under humanitarian international law and also international public law, it is a grave violation of the humanitarian international law and constitutes war crime. I mean, the perpetual arbitrary of the Israeli army to maintain or to accept a humanitarian ceasefire agreement with the Hamas in Gaza. Also, arbitrary refusal of the following: safe areas for the civilians, Palestinians who are not directly participating in the armed hostilities, refusal of the humanitarian corridors to maintain and guarantee the delivery of humanitarian assistance, and also to the receiving of the wounded, injured from Gaza Strip to
Yes.
Sinai, or even to the whole territory of Egypt. So again, it's not potential, it's not either feasible to talk about right now, to talk about the agreement or reaching such agreement between the two conflicting parties in Gaza for maintaining ceasefire humanitarian agreement.
Do you think it would be realistic to be reaching a ceasefire over the coming couple of days, for example?
I hardly hear you, so I would like you, gentlemen, to repeat your question, please, or just only tell me 2 points, or 2 words, because I hardly hear you.
Yes, Doctor, I was asking about the ceasefire. Do you think realistically it could be achieved over the upcoming 2 days, 48 hours?
No, I don't think so. I do not think so, because even the Secretary General Guterres of the United Nations,
Yes.
many humanitarian and NGOs affiliated to the United Nations, WHO, FAO, etc., even NGOs who are working over there in Gaza Strip, like Médecins Sans Frontières, like ICRC, the International Committee of the Red Cross. All of these public opinions, all of these international and NGOs, organizations actually tried and asked and appealed to Israel to maintain ceasefire agreement, even at least for humanitarian purposes, however, in vain.
Yes, Doctor, another important point that leads us to the humanitarian aid, which has been piling up at the Rafah border crossing. And of course, we have received a lot, tons of humanitarian aid at the airport of Al Arish as well. So do you think that the obstacles that Israel is putting to be reaching or giving this aid to the Palestinians, to the Gazans in the Gaza Strip, could be maybe made easier in the coming days and hours?
Till now, it's difficult actually to expect this.
Yes.
Because Israel already made a plan, and we know the plan. The plan actually could be mounted to the level of the half of the Gaza Strip, or at least in particular the northern part of Gaza. That's why, to the public, to the honorable audience, I would like to mention something legally very important. Israel doesn't have such a right to arbitrarily refuse the delivering of the humanitarian assistance. And even if the humanitarian law that governs the armed hostilities permits one fighting party or the parties of the armed conflict to make such a consent, acceptance of the delivery and reserve or refuse the delivery for security issues or security concerns like Israel is doing. But we can, the historical precedents actually can prevail. We can monitor. When I say we can, United Nations observers, OSCE observers, ICRC observers can monitor and observe all the humanitarian assistance to further ensure that those necessities are not going to Hamas or other armed resistant Palestinians. So it's difficult also to expect that the Israeli would facilitate the delivery and would lift such heinous restrictions, hindrances, and obstacles, and made the humanitarian delivery very, very slow, and instead of being expeditious to the unarmed Palestinian civilians who are not directly participating in the armed hostilities. Thank you very much, my good friend. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Goodbye, Dr. Ayman Salama, the Professor of International Law. Thank you very much for being with us tonight over the phone on the Daily Debate. Of course, we have spoken with Dr. Ayman Salama a lot about the humanitarian aid and the levels of protection of Egypt to the Palestinian cause and not to be liquidating it, according to the statements of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and the political efforts of Egypt to be reaching a ceasefire, a quick ceasefire. And of course, the main solution for the Palestinian cause is to be depending on a two-state solution with East Jerusalem to be the capital of Palestine on the borders internationally recognized in 1967. We will be heading to the other report of the Daily Debate for tonight, which is the warning coming from Egypt to Israel regarding the possible potential ground invasion to Gaza in the upcoming days. We'll be having more details regarding this warning in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
Egypt has always been a major factor when it comes to de-escalating the Palestinian-Israeli tensions and confrontations that erupted throughout history, with a foreign policy and strategy that is based on preserving Egypt's national security and strong commitment towards the Arab countries and Palestinian cause. Among the unforgettable stances for Egypt supporting Palestine, its efforts on May 2021 and August 2022 to avoid violence and stop the Palestinian bloodshed. Also, Egypt has announced the presidential initiative for the reconstruction of Gaza Strip following May 2021 Israeli aggression at a total cost of $500 million. Over the past 5 decades, the Egyptian leadership has been keen to find a legal basis for the establishment of a Palestinian state to be recognized by the United Nations and its member states, as well as by active regional and international organizations. This comes as part of Egypt's conviction that it would play a major part in achieving just, comprehensive, and lasting peace within the region. Meanwhile, political parties hailed the Egyptian leadership's capabilities and diplomacy to gather global leaders to participate in Cairo Conference for Peace to convey a clear message. They also lauded President Fattah al-Sisi's stance that stresses the importance of ending escalation in Gaza Strip, Egypt's commitment to the Palestinian cause, rejection of Israeli occupation violations and crimes practiced against Palestinian people, and denouncement of liquidation of Palestinian cause through forced displacement of Palestinians from their lands. In statements, Nations Future Party, Homeland Defenders Party, Republican People's Party, Egypt October Party, Freedom Egypt Party, and Egyptians Party supported President Sisi's stance that reflects Egyptian people's will, reiterating their support to the Palestinians' rights and urged international community to shoulder responsibility to stop escalation. They also noted that the only solution for the Palestinian cause to reach peace is through the two-state solution, as well as halting escalations and violations practiced against Palestinian people.
على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم أنا دمي